Congratulations, you died. Appeared in front of me in white text. No matter where I turned, I couldn't bring my eyes away from it. Is this another one of those dreams? I've been having them more and more recently. I guess my body knows what's happening to it. Wait, hold on. I've managed to become lucid surprisingly fast. I almost never have lucid dreams. You're not dreaming. The text changed. Huh. So I'm dreaming about dying, and within my dream I have somehow acknowledged it is a dream within the dream world. So does that mean this isn't a dream? Or does it just confirm my suspicions about lucid dreaming? Let me think. Hey, text, tell me if I'm dreaming or not. If I'm not, say big black banana 3 times. Big black banana, big black banana, big black banana. Okay, so I can control the text. You can't control the text. Or, I guess it can just read my mind, so what have we learned? Well, I think this just proves that this is in fact a dream, because the text somehow can see my inner mind. I think that it's a logical conclusion to come to, that the text is simply a manifestation of my subconscious mind, constructing a dream via my lucidity. Therefore, you're not dreaming, mortal. You have died. Congratulations. I paused for a moment. If this isn't a dream, should I really be all that surprised? I think I need more information. Text? Could I ask, You may ask, though you may not receive an answer. Well, I suppose that's all I could ask for. How did I die? You died due to organ failure caused by advanced lung cancer at precisely 2:23 a.m. and 25 seconds, April 24th, 2021. The featureless environment around me suddenly exploded into the confines of reality. I started for a moment, trying to get my bearings. I was back in the hospital, frozen in time. I looked around frantically, still startled at the sudden appearance of existence. For a moment I considered that maybe I had simply awoken from the dream, but those thoughts were quashed as I beheld the sight in front of me. From my standing position, I looked down upon myself. Bald-headed, barely more than skin and bones. A sorry sight. I felt a sense of dread upon seeing myself, though to say that it was myself would be stretching it some. I almost didn't recognize that it was me. I somehow had an instinctual understanding that what I was looking at was not alive. I didn't need the text to tell me that. What I was looking at right now was my body. My own lifeless corpse. Do you understand that you are dead, mortal? The text asked, bringing me back to reality. What comes after death? Yes, I do. I speak out loud for the first time, despite the fact that the text seemed to know all that I thought. Good, it simply replies. Suddenly, the ground starts to shake. The view outside my window goes pitch black, and the walls start to crumble. Before I had so much as a moment to react, the ground underneath me breaks, and I start falling into a bottomless void. Before I even knew it, the cold reaches of non-existence bathed me once more. It felt like I was dreaming again, all my senses nullified, yet containing an understanding that I was still a thing. I tried screaming, but I couldn't breathe in. I tried calling for help, but no sound came out. I tried grasping for anything, but I couldn't even feel my own body. I tried to locate anything that could provide evidence that I was more than my own thoughts, but I didn't have eyes to see. I was simply a consciousness floating through the void, until my senses abruptly returned, and I found myself sitting on what felt like a large cushion. I breathed in deep and rapidly, relishing in the feeling of feeling again. I looked around in a panic, finding myself in a red lounge room, like you might find in a Gothic hotel. A large ornate wooden door sat on the opposite side of the room. I was dressed in some sort of casual, containing no defining features. Where? Nothing that I recognized. I was alone. Sat on one of a few cushions scattered around the room, I took in deep breaths, trying to calm my racing heart. I'm dead. I don't have a heartbeat. I'm dead. I'm dead? I'm in an afterlife. Really? I was an atheist before I died. I thought I'd be stuck in oblivion after I died. Oh, my God. Thank God I was wrong. I couldn't bear being without a body for even a few seconds. Nothingness all eternity. So, if I'm here, who's right? Which religion? Where am I? How will I be judged? I looked myself over, analysing my own body. It was as if I was reformed in my mid-20s. My skin was full and colourful, not as it had been. I had a full head of hair, and most importantly, I could breathe without coughing. Or breathe. If I don't have a heart, then I find it hard to believe that breathing really accomplishes anything other than make me feel better. I held my breath to test it out, and sure enough, I never felt the urge to stop. I held it in for about 2.5 minutes before I decided to start again. I didn't know why, it just made me feel alive. I'm dead. No. No. Don't get caught up in that again. What's most important is that you are still conscious. You can still think, feel, see, act. Shit. I'm dead. Sorry, David. I don't think I'll be coming to our marriage. Sorry, Mum. Sorry, Dad. Sorry I lied when I said I was only getting better. I spent a solid amount of time simply staring at my own hands. I felt guilty. I didn't know why. I didn't do anything wrong, but I left them too soon. I left business unfinished. I broke promises I couldn't keep. Your time is at an end, mortal. A voice boomed out from seemingly nowhere. Step through the door. You will now be judged, it said ominously. Judged? Right. That doesn't sound good. I'm not getting any good advice from this place. Reluctantly, I get up from my seated position and head over to the door. I hesitate for a moment as I reach my hand towards the brass doorknob. Am I really doing this? Am I really dead and getting my life judged? Am I really going to spend eternity in this? What if I don't want to? Is it weird that I almost wish I could choose oblivion? Screw it. I'm overreacting. I may be dead, but I'm not dead in the sense that I expected it. If this is what death is like, then to be honest, not much has actually changed about me. This is almost a net gain, compared to being bedridden. Yeah. Think positively. Try not to think about the ominous decor or that imposing voice. I opened the door, heaving against the weight of the heavy wood. A hallway extended with red burgundy wallpapers, fire sconces lighting it with a gloomy light. Reluctantly, I stepped out for the door. There was only one direction I could go, so I started walking forward. Another set of double doors sat at the end of the hallway. I had nothing to accompany me other than the sound of my own footsteps. I felt a sense of foreboding as I reached the doors. I tried my best to ignore it as I opened the doors once again. Before me was a large room, shrouded mostly in darkness. A solitary chair sat in the spotlight of light around the darkness. Sit, the voice booms. I couldn't find where it came from. Regardless, I swallowed my apprehension and obeyed. My mind was swimming with questions, but I didn't dare speak unless I was told. I waited for a moment before the voice once again sounded out. William Brown, congratulations, you are dead. You will now be judged. I decided to take the risk and speak up. Judged by who? I question. No response comes forth. William Brown, you have not lived a full lifetime by your standards. Do you have any regrets? It questions. I take a moment to think, then take a deep breath to calm my nerves. Regrets? No, not regrets. Only a wish that I could do more, I answer honestly. The voice goes silent for a time before once again coming out with another question. William Brown, do you believe that you have acted truthfully and morally during your lifetime? Yes, I responded back. I always believed that I acted with general kindness to others. I wouldn't claim to be a saint. I mostly tended to keep to myself. And if it came down to it, I don't know if I would put myself in danger to save someone else, but I do think that, with the life I was given, I made a positive impact on the world, and the people around me. Again, the voice went silent, almost like it was taking a moment to write something down. It spoke once more. William Brown, do you ever believe that you have been tested in your life? Tested? What does that mean? Like I've been undergoing a tough situation? I mean, I suppose. I wasn't entirely sure. Tested by who? Myself? I don't really think like that. I just need to do what I need to get through a tough situation. I don't treat it like a test. William Brown, do you know why you're here? The voice asked again, but this time it sounded more alert? No, that's not the right word. Invested, maybe? I was confused by the question, but answered based on what I'd been told. I'm here to be judged? The voice laughs. It was chilling. On the outside it was calm, perfectly normal, but something in my body felt it resonate condescendence. You are correct, William, but not in the way I asked. Answer again. Why are you here? I don't understand. I'm dead? I heard the voice sigh. Both technically correct, but also wrong. Let me ask you a different question, William Brown. What does this place remind you of? What emotions does it make you feel? I was nervous. This voice doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand how these questions are meant to be judging me. I don't even know who it is who is talking to me. I didn't know how to respond. The voice felt overbearing, and me not being able to see it only made that effect worse. This time, the voice didn't wait to let me answer. Are you scared, William Brown? I felt a cold sweat begin to form. I don't like the questions this voice is asking. Although I waited, the voice didn't seem to become satisfied until I gave it an answer. Yes, I am scared. I answered honestly once more. How the voice spoke after my response filled me with dread. Good. You should be. The way it said that put the mental image of a monster smiling at his defenseless prey. The light went out, filling the room in total darkness. I flinched, letting out a pitiful yelp of surprise. Hello? I called out. Nobody responded. Suddenly I felt the ground under my feet shake once more, eventually breaking apart and plunging me into the void for a second time. By the time I had the faculties to scream, my voice was already gone. Ugh. My head. I felt a dull ache as I felt myself laying on a cold metal floor. A rattling could be heard as I nursed my headache. What happened? Was all that a dream? An ear-piercing scream sounded out, causing my eyes to shoot to the source. I was in a cage, alone. In front of me were several other cages, each one filled with another person. Me and all of them were naked. Some were huddled, crying. Some were banging on the bars. Some were completely and utterly still, like they were nothing more than robots. The scream came from up ahead. Every few seconds another would sound out, and each of our cages would move up another space, rattling with the conveyor belt. From the shadows of the rooms, I saw dark figures moving in and out of the light. They were tall, slender beings, and from what I could make out, they each had spiked tails and horns. I'm in hell. If I still had a heart, it would be racing at this point. I stood up in a panic, almost falling over as my cage moved up again. I raced towards the bars, looking for an exit, but it was as if they had been welded together with me in it. I felt like screaming, so I did. Help! Help! Where am I? Why am I here? I didn't do anything wrong! I joined the chorus of others pleading their innocence, bashing on the bars, conducting any resistance they could. But the cages kept moving, and another shrill scream bellowed out. I was terrified. As the cages kept moving, our destination started to come into sight. An orange, dim light came into view, yet I couldn't make out what else lay beyond. As we carried on moving, I could make it out. Every few moments, the cage in front would fall, and a scream would sound out until it was abruptly silenced. Then another would take its place, and we'd move up another space. My breathing sped up. Despite it accomplishing nothing, I had to find a way out. I don't belong here. I searched around frantically, looking at the bars, the floor, anything. When I turned up nothing, I turned to the outside. In the cage in front of me sat another lone individual, his hair shaved, and his skin pot-marked in scars. Unlike many of the others, he sat still and quiet. I called out to him. Hey! Hey, you! I called out. He raised his head for a moment, looking around, and finally settling his eyes upon mine. His looked devoid, almost zombie-like. There was a certain light that was no longer there, giving him a sense of looking like a walking corpse. Hey, you've got to help me. I don't know why I'm here. I did everything right. I was a good person. I made good decisions. He looked back down before I could finish my sentence. What? Hey, I was talking to you. Please, you need to help me. I was startled as the form crashed into my cage, nearly flipping it off the track. I fell flat on my back as I was jostled by the form. Only once the cage had settled, and I sat back up, did I get a look at what had delivered the force. It was a demon. It clung to the bars with all four of his limbs, all sporting razor-sharp claws. Its horns were piercing, coloured a blood red, bordering on black. Its entire body was coloured that same tone, and it wore a type of armour across its body that almost looked sewn into his flesh. Two bat-like wings sprouted from its back, and its face almost resembled more in common with a skull than anything that should be alive. Out of the sockets, two fires erupted, and ash bellowed out its mouth and nostrils every time it breathed. It looked at me with a suitably demonic hatred. In a ghostly voice it spoke. Silence, sinner. No help will find you now. You will be punished for your insolence. Despite my situation, my mounting stress and fear, I felt a sense of frustration at the demon. At all of it. Why can't I just be told why I'm here? Punished for what? I yelled out, in equal parts terror and indignation. The demon simply stared at me for a moment, gradually narrowing his eyes in rage. Eventually, in an explosion of smoky mist, the demon appeared above me, grabbing me by the neck and pinning me to the cage's floor. I grasped at his claws uselessly, as it applied a grip strong enough to make me choke. You dare raise your voice to me, filth! You deserve nothing. You are a failure, a mistake, a sinner. You do not deserve an answer, but with my benevolence I shall educate you. You laid with another man. You chose not to believe in your lord, even when presented with plenty of opportunities. You chose to disrespect the very things that gave you life. You are degenerate, a fool, and disgrace your forefathers and their forefathers. You are not a moral man, William Brown. You are prideful, greedy, lustful, slothful, envious, and a glutton. You surrendered yourself to evil, William Brown, and I am your captor, it says, sporting a wicked grin. So that's what it's about, huh? I was gay, so I was content to an eternity of suffering. Is that it? I decided to enjoy my life too much, so I was thrown away like a worthless piece of trash. Did my impact to others mean nothing, then? Was this all just some twisted game where teamwork means nothing? Love, happiness, charity, prosperity, empathy? Were all those virtues for naught? Could I have lived my life as a heartless prick, but as long as I prayed to Sky Daddy every Saturday, I got a free ticket to heaven? Or is this just a way to ensure loyalty? A way to snuff out any imperfections to God's universe? Prideful, greedy, lustful, slothful, envious, glutton. To an extent, I would describe myself as all of these things. To an extent. I wasn't perfect, I know this to be true. But is anyone? Most of these things I wouldn't even describe as being all that bad. What's wrong with being envious? What about prideful? In short amounts, these things are okay. Healthy, even. We are human beings with a certain natural instinct. We should be allowed to feel these emotions, as long as we don't let them control us. Despite me looking into the fiery eyes of my doom, clawing for air that my lungs didn't need, I couldn't help but think, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this. I got angry. I dealt with this all my life. I used to spend days and nights lying awake just trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I used to hate myself because others hated me. But then I realized the truth. Life is hard. Life is sad. Life is full of misery and disappointment. But life is also more than that. Life is a gift. Life lets us feel emotions, lets us love. Life gives us wonders. Life gives us miracles. Life gave me David. I got tired of experiencing the bad parts of life. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to find the light at the end of the tunnel. I wanted to feel love. Not like how I'd been told love should be, but what love was to me. Through the fear of staring up at the beast above me, a determination arose within me. I got angrier. I got defiant. In my mind, his face was replaced with the countless people who told me and David that we were going to hell. I felt hate. I growled back up at the demon, uncaring about not physically having the oxygen to speak. Finally, my seventh cardinal sin revealed itself. You forgot about wrath. I spat in the demon's flaming eye, and it recoils with an ear-piercing scream. As it holds his eye in his hand, it once again disappears in a cloud of black smoke, freeing me from his grasp. I wasted no time, scrambling back to my feet, but I was stuck. I was still entombed in a cage, and I could already see several demons emerging from the shadows with flaming tridents and large fiery walls barking while pulling on chains, just wishing for a taste of my flesh. My resistance was doomed to failure. I had nowhere to go. I had no allies, and I was surrounded. My cage was steadily moving further and further to the pit, and although I'm unsure if I can truly die again, I know for a fact that I can still feel pain. The screams of those before me solidified that in my mind. Hey! Suddenly I hear a voice beside me call out. I turned to the source and it was the man from earlier. He was still sat down, but he had raised his eyes to mine once more. He looked at me, attentive. Catch, he says once more, as he threw an object at me. I caught it without a thought, only getting a good look once it was in my hand. It was a bone. Broken on one end, likely a femur of some sort. How did he even hide this? He's not wearing anything. I looked back up at him, confused. Idly, I noticed that his turn was rapidly approaching. The cage in front of him had just fallen, and I started to feel an intense heat emanate from the pit. You're a fighter. It would serve your hand better than mine. Trust me, there's more to it than you think. I gave up long ago, and although I think you're an idiot, Might as well help you dish out the pain for once. Maybe I'll see you again once I come back. Good luck. By now his turn had approached, and his cage touched the tip. He gave me one brief salute as he fell over the edge, out of sight. I was left confused, but more importantly, reminded of my impending doom. The demons were closing in fast. I had no idea what their intentions were, but based on that man's response, it sounds like it was to cause my suffering. I had no idea what they could do that would be worse than whatever was going on down in the pit, but I really didn't want to find out. Suddenly the conveyor stopped, and I was left at the edge. I turned back to the demons, who by now had fully surrounded my cage, their hellhounds barking, growling and fighting against their chains to rip out my flesh. An explosion of smoke once again filled my vision, and out emerged the same demon from before, in my cage once again. His eye had noticeably dimmed somewhat, and his already demonic expression had shifted to one of pure malice. Before I even had the chance to move, I was already in a death grip within his hand. It had lifted me by the head, squeezing with such an amount of pressure that I thought my head would explode. I brought both my hands up to his arm, trying to alleviate the discomfort the demon was applying to my skull. I could tell that it was reveling in my suffering, as my moans of discomfort gradually turned to full-blown screams of agony. The demon didn't care, and eventually it brought my head close to his own, making sure I was paying my limited attention to them. It then spoke in a cold tone, a contrast to his previous, almost jovial-sounding sadistic pleasure. Apparently this one has yet to accept his fate. It fights back. It resists. It revels in its own evils. It is yet to even feel the bite of a flame, yet it already seeks to avoid its punishment. Well, little sinner, believe me when I say that you have only made it much worse. With that statement, his eyes lose their flames, being replaced with billowing smoke. His breathing follows suit, the cinders extinguishing. My nostrils picked up on the scent, causing me to cough. Soon, me and the demon were almost completely enveloped in the smoke, and it began coming from the demon's arms and legs. I gradually started to feel a rumbling. As I looked down, the ground once again started to crack and crumble. The area beyond me and the demon slowly started to become filled with the smoke, enveloping it in pure darkness. Soon enough, all I could see was me and the demon. A voice began to emanate all around me, but as I looked back at the demon, it was motionless. The smoke continued to billow out of his eyes and mouth, yet it somehow continued to speak. What if I could show you the death you thought you had earned, sinner? What if I could show you oblivion? A permanent state of unfeeling, unthinking, eradication. Would you fear that more than you fear me, sinner? I started sweating. Whenever I had been dropped into that void from earlier, I dreaded it. I felt an overwhelming sense of nothingness that pierced my core, that threatened to render me completely gone if I let myself fall to it. As I thought these things, an image was projected into my mind. No, more of an experience, as if I had somehow been allowed to experience a huge amount of time within the span of an instant. It was me, in the void once again, but something was different. It wasn't just a dark space, it was nothing, truly nothing. No time, no space, not even me, but I knew I was there. Yet I didn't know I was there. It was as if I was experiencing it from an outside perspective. I didn't see my body, but I knew, somehow, that within that void was me, almost like I had become part of it. My senses were confused, just trying to understand it. Although no time had passed, I knew, somehow, that universes were being formed and destroyed as I slept. Until infinity, I would never wake up, never dream, never have any awareness nor emotion. I would never have any memories. I would never talk or ever think again. I wasn't just dead. I was gone, as if I had never been born. I immediately turned into a shaking wreck, having had my brain overloaded with unfamiliar stimuli and sensations. It felt as if I was going to have a seizure, but somehow, my brain was forced to hold on. I heard a dark laughter arise from within the darkness. I felt my body tense up as I finally refocused on me and the demon, yet I was alone. The smoke was no longer there. It was just a void. It was nothingness. This is what I relish. Your fear, your desperation, your hopelessness. Your emotions are exquisite. It would honestly be a shame to get rid of them so soon into your visit. But, sinner, you don't fear me. You fear your death. And if you don't fear me, then I must invoke that fear some other way. Farewell, William Brown. The voice was gone, and I felt myself being pulled deeper into the nothingness. It attacked my senses first. My sight, my hearing, my taste, my smell, and my feeling. It all gradually faded away. Then it attacked my thoughts. First I started forgetting where I was, how I had ended up in this void. Then I started forgetting my death. Then things like where I lived or where I was born. Soon I forgot the names of my friends and family, them quickly being wiped from my mind entirely. Eventually I forgot my own name. and my life as a whole. But eventually something fought back. It was a concept. I had already forgotten its name, but it made me feel good. Happy. No, more than happy. I wanted more of it. My brain needed to know about this thing. This thing that makes me feel so great. Subconsciously, my brain searched more information about this thing. Why do I know of this thing? Well, I know it from my life. My life? Of course. I was alive. I lived a life, and then I died. What does that mean? Dying. It means I can't be around this thing any longer. No, I can't not be around this thing. This thing is my life, my existence. I began feeling immense grief. Grief at no longer being able to be around that thing. But I can still remember it, right? I can still remember when I first remembered that thing and made me feel so good. No, I can't. Why not? Why can I not remember that thing? That grief was accompanied with anger, frustration, stress. My brain eventually remembered another thing, an evil thing, an unfair thing, a thing that made me feel terrible, a thing that made me feel rage, hate. As I remembered the second thing, my hate increased. It felt almost more instinctual than any coherent thought. I must destroy the second thing. My mind was already made up on that. This thing. It dares to get in the way of my thing? It dares to make me forget my thing? I must destroy that thing. Eventually, my mind remembered another thing, but this time it was a memory clear as day. It was the bone. I gradually started to feel it wrapped around my fingers. I remember the pointed tip of the bone, and how it looked like it could kill. My fingers squeezed the bone tighter, as my hatred for the second thing grew further and further. My muscles tensed, like a spring ready to attack. Instincts took over my mind from that point, my mind no longer transmitting conscious thought, and I swung. Like waking from a dream, my eyes regained their sight, as I stared at the shocked face of the demon before me. My arm was outstretched to his neck, formed into a fist as the demon's smoky face was replaced with its previous fire from before. Blood coated my hand, as the demon's grip on my neck started to loosen, until I was dropped to the floor, the fires in the demon's eyes extinguishing entirely, leaving 2 empty sockets in their place. The demon then fell onto the floor, a lifeless heap. Turning my eyes away from the demon's body, I opened my hand, but nothing was there, yet it was coated in a dark, almost black-coloured blood. I simply stared at it for a few moments, before my senses returned to the aggressive barking of the hellhounds. Impossible! One of the demons called out. I was out of time. Like a lever being switched, every demon charged forth in a flurry of black smoke. Before I knew it, I had 10 pairs of hands on me. I struggled, writhed, but they wouldn't let go. All of them started the same process as the last demon, turning their eyes into smoke, filling the room. I struggled harder. Where is the bone? It was just in my hand. But as I thought this, that same familiar picture of the bone entered my mind, clear as day. I once again felt the bone in my hand, and without a second thought, I threw it as hard as I could in the direction of the pit. Instantly, the cage jostled once again. The barking of the hellhounds, now devoid of their masters, filled my ears as they dove for the bone, slamming their fiery bodies into the cage and tipping it just enough that soon enough I felt the force of gravity take over. The demons paused for a moment, but once it became apparent what was happening, they all teleported away, leaving the trail of black smoke in their wake. I was now free, but alone, as I fell from a vast distance. As I looked down, I saw a fiery pit of lava, and the screams of those within started going louder and louder, my only distraction of that impending doom being the whining of one of the falling dogs, who was now writhing in the air, confused and scared. Shit. This is gonna hurt, isn't it? Still, I remember the words of that man. He said, "Once I come back," didn't he? That, I'm hoping, means that this won't kill me. Kill me again. Doing my best swan dive, I dove into lava. Instantly, I felt the burning sensation coat my skin. I tried all my might to stop from screaming, but it was no use. I just felt agony. It must have been a whole minute before I could think of anything other than pain. I had the spare brain power to notice that I was in fact not dead yet. Idly, I noticed the others in the lava with me. Some were writhing like me, trying to swim to the surface, and others lay there, face down, unmoving, letting the flames bathe them. More importantly, I looked all around for a way to escape. Before me was a sea of orange so large, I'd never be able to see the end. This is the punishment, isn't it? We must swim to the end or burn for all eternity. Where's the bone? It's got to help me somehow. I was briefly distracted as I felt something bump into my side. I turned to it, realizing that it was the hellhound. Why is it still here? Why didn't it teleport away with the others? I saw desperation in his eyes as it doggy-paddled towards me. His eyes no longer made of fire, but of fear. A little too desperate. I felt something was wrong as the dog swam towards me and tried to swim away, but before I could, I felt its jaws close on my forearm, adding to the pain I was already feeling, but honestly nothing compared to the lava. A moment later, the two of us were enveloped in smoke once more, and the pain abruptly stopped. I coughed and spluttered as the smoke dissipated, confused as to what just happened, but relieved to be rid of the pain. I sat there, my arms covering my head as I feared what would come next, but nothing came, other than a low growling from the dog. It came with me. I opened my eyes to see that the two of us were in the dark cave, made of some sort of bloody stone. The only light that was available came from the dog's newly relit flaming eyes. Bright orange salivations dripped from its mouth as it looked at me with a piercing gaze. It was in a low stance, ready to attack, but I was having none of it. I wouldn't escape hell just to die again like a dog. I raised my arms to a defensive stance, scared but determined. However, I was distracted as I saw a bright red glowing mark on my arm. The dog also hesitated as it saw it, his eyes flickering for a moment. I looked at the mark, back to the dog, and back to the mark again. It simply stood there, appearing to be shocked before it abruptly turned and stamped on the ground as it howled at the opposite wall. My eyes went wide as it shot out flames from its mouth, scorching the wall a dark black. It then turned its eyes back at me, now a blazing inferno, as it barked and growled at me, whilst clawing at the ground and throwing rubble everywhere. It was having a tantrum. It. A dog. It was having a tantrum. A hellhound. I sat there, bemused. My fear of the animal slowly disappeared as it demonstrated its abilities, but not on me. It could kill me easily. Why isn't it? It clearly hates me. If its familiar barks and yaps in my direction were any indication, it almost seemed like it was trying to lay into me, ranting and raving. I could tell that it so badly wanted to bite me or scorch me, or really inflict any kind of pain upon me, but every time it would attack, it would purposely miss me by an inch or two. As my confidence raised that I would not be incinerated by a rogue fireball, I started to turn my attention away from the dog's display, and back to the bite mark. It marked me. Is this why it can't hurt me? Why did it even bite me in the first place? Why didn't it just teleport away like all the other dogs did? Where's its master? Am I its master now? How? Why? Is it intelligent? It hates me. I don't know how devil dogs work, but I never owned a dog or met any animal that could hate someone. This is more than just instincts. If it was instincts, then it wouldn't be having a tantrum right now. If it was just instincts, it wouldn't be abiding by this weird mark's rules. Hey, I tried to call out to it, but it seemed preoccupied with chasing its own tail and attempting to rip it off, all the while snarling and growling. Every snap of its jaws felt like a shockwave. I was relieved that those jaws weren't being used on me, but I was honestly a little worried that it wouldn't actually succeed in biting its tail off. Hey, calm down, I called out to it again. It stopped for a moment, looked at me, then snarled. Its snarling grew more and more aggressive as it stalked towards me. I could tell that it was not happy, specifically not happy with me. Although it was attempting to intimidate me, it kind of failed at that, when it had already revealed that all its strongest attacks couldn't even scratch me. Eventually, it had reached my sitting position, and was looking at me defiantly, like it was trying to say, "This is your fault." I put my hand on his head and started scratching his ears, causing his eyes to flicker again, completely extinguishing once more. It abruptly stopped snarling and looked at me in shock. "Calm down," I said, as I continued to stroke his head. As soon as it had appeared, however, the hellhound snapped at my hand, pulling away and running off into the cave, whimpering. I sat there, once again confused. I understand if it's distrustful, but why would it run away so quickly after displaying all of its power, after threatening me? I sighed to myself and sat down on the hard floor. Today's been rough. I say that it was the worst day of my life, but I think the time limit for that status has already passed. You know, I woke up this morning just thinking about how much longer I would have until I passed. I can't even say that I remember my death. I might have fallen asleep when it happened. So much has happened in the span of what I only assumed to be a day or so at most. All my core beliefs on how the universe functioned were just disproven. I left so much behind. My future, my family, everything. And now I'm forced to spend eternity in a place that seeks only for me to suffer. Whether they succeed or not doesn't matter. I'll go crazy. I'll lose the only thing I managed to keep from my time in the world of the living. My mind. God damn it. I feel like crying. My mind is overwhelmed with stress right now. I have so many questions that are left unanswered. I'm so uncertain. I wish I had someone to comfort me. Anything, really. Just anyone who doesn't want me dead a second time. I wish it didn't have to be like this. There has to have been a mistake, right? God is supposed to be all loving and benevolent. God is the one who made me like this. At least, that's what I assumed. That's what I'd always tell the homophobes. That God was the one who made me gay. It's not a choice of me. It's just how I was created. It's like how straight people are just naturally attracted to the opposite gender, but reversed. I never believed in God. I never believed in the church or any of those religions. I always felt like what they taught could be harmful. I simply couldn't rationalize how God could exist in the way he was portrayed. And I still can't. I don't know what's happening upstairs, but God is either evil or hell managed to take over. I'm not sure what I prefer. I wish the pup would come back. I always used to find petting dogs meditative whenever I was stressed, but newsflash, I'm in hell. Even the dogs hate me here. If only I was sent to heaven. If only I didn't die so soon. If only I was born to... No. I'm not going to go there. I'm me, god damn it. And I'll stay me whether hell or God, or even the whole fucking universe says otherwise. I will not apologize for being happy. After all, I have all the time in the world. I'll be here for eternity. That's a lot of time to give to one person. And given enough time, even one person can do great things. So fine. Hunt me. Burn me. Exile me. Cast me aside and call me a failure. I don't need your heaven anyways. I'll just have to make my own.